Hey, and welcome to Showfest. Here we are at our second annual virtual Showfest. I'm Dean O'Donnell. I'm a professor, and I'm in none of these windows. I am the voice of the announcer. You can call me Don Pardo tonight. I'm old, and if you get that reference, you're probably old too. I'd like to introduce our first both interviewees and interviewers, the format of this show. We've got actual living, breathing industry professionals. We have two of them here right now. Kate Olguin. Kate is a game designer at Other Ocean Interactive, organizer for Boston Postmortem, which is a part of IGDA Boston, and a jack of all trades. Hi, Kate.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Showfest.
We also have Leo Bunyea. Leo is an independent developer and scholar who explores transmasculine experiences through game design. Hi, Leo.
Hello.
And they're going to be interviewing the developers of our first game, our first MQP at WPI as part of the IMGD program, Buried Voices. And I'm going to turn it over to Leo and Kate.
Oh boy. Well, first of all, we're both very excited to be saying words to you about this video game. Very cool. Thank you, Kanye. Very cool. No, but it's clear that a lot of love and care really went into it. I think it turned out really well. I would imagine Leo agrees with me.
Yeah, there's just an amazing amount of work here.
Yeah, no, seriously. So let's kick it off. So going back all the way to the beginning, what was your inspiration for Buried Voices?
So we were inspired by how Native American and Indigenous history is really not talked about in schools and not addressed properly, or in some cases portrayed incorrectly. And we were interested in the education aspect of that and how history and education can kind of manipulate narratives. And we decided, what would a game that addresses this topic look like?
Can you talk a little bit about how you went about like mapping, portraying those experiences onto a more fantastical setting that has its own lore?
Yeah, at least I can speak to the lore part because I did a lot of the writing of that as the writer for this. Yeah, it was a lot of research for, in the beginning, and essentially we wanted to put it in a like fantasy setting to kind of separate it from the real world for a lot of different reasons. We were having a lot of the tension was coming from navigating between what is good allyship and what is appropriation. So putting it into a fantasy setting was part of that. And a lot of work went into building a world that felt real, but was also pulling directly from a lot of the history that we were looking at. So like, for example, the academy that's mentioned, a lot of that was taken directly from like the actual history of Native American boarding schools. And we just translated it into our fantasy world. So I think I'd say that a lot of it is supported by things that have actually happened.
Right. Super cool. Let us talk about the art for a moment. Nothing short of stunning. Really great work. Leo can attest to the fact that like we were walking around playing the game on the same call together. And we kept on going like, whoa, like look at this thing. Look at this. It was very exciting. So what was your biggest challenge in terms of art? Either one of you can answer or both of you can answer. Live your best lives.
I know for me when it came to character stuff, just getting like technical implementation to work. Unity started to get really weird with like scaling issues, especially inside prefabs and stuff, and also animations and rigs were not exporting and importing the way we wanted them to, and stuff like that. And Olivia also encountered her share of difficulties when it came to the math and stuff for getting everything to fit.
Yeah, Emma made a lot of custom rigs, so sometimes Unity didn't play nice with that. In terms of the environment art, which I was responsible for most of, I had to figure out, like, beforehand, sit down like with graph paper and figure out, okay, the player's this tall, the guardians are going to be this tall, how tall do the columns need to be, how is the ceiling fitting with this, a lot of like trial and error, with like trying to snap things together in Maya and then seeing how that translated to an engine. And we actually had to resize the rooms a couple times as well when we were first implementing gameplay, because we realized the size of the space was too small for the player to be able to jump around, which was counterintuitive. So there was a lot of adjusting.
And so you mentioned that art implementation was a technical challenge. Were there any other big technical challenges with this project?
Yeah, we definitely had a handful of technical challenges, as you might imagine.
Handful.
Little ones only. One big one was the movement system. We actually had to build the third-person controller pretty much from scratch, because looking online at some of the other out-of-the-box solutions that were there and the tutorials, there wasn't really anything that fit with what we were trying to do. And we have an interesting mix of the platforming and some of those kind of like point and shoot mechanics with the far casting and the reminiscence. So getting the camera system to like play nicely and transition between the different views in an intuitive way so that you could do those different things, and also getting the movement to work smoothly and just getting the jump to like feel good and go the right distance. It was a lot of trial and error, a lot of math. A lot of math, but yeah, I think that we finally narrowed it down with a lot of player feedback, a lot of play testing, and we finally managed to get it right.
Nice. So to wrap things up a little bit, do y'all have future plans for this project, for development release? What's happening next for the Buried Voices crew?
I'd also like to tack onto that, because I think it's fun to end on, is also, what are you most proud of with this project?
Oh, super good point, Leo. Yes, both of those things. Go.
So we actually had 2 more levels planned initially when we were doing the pre-production for this game, and then we quickly realized that was out of scope. So we would like to implement those, and there are a couple other things that I think we probably want to refine with the existing level. I don't know if anyone has anything else specific to add, but it's definitely going to continue to be fleshed out more.
Yeah, there's definitely more work to do on it. We are looking to release the demo in its current form in some public form after a little more polish, but we do want to, we've discussed it a couple of times, and we do want to see it through and build it out into a full, more complex game. But I think that overall, we're just really proud of everything that we were able to accomplish in a relatively tight time frame. Yeah, I mean the game plays nice and plays all the way through, and the artists did an amazing job with the art. So we're proud of what we've got, and we're looking forward to working on it more in the future.
You should be proud of it.
Thank you. I'm really proud of how quickly also we pulled all the pieces together. It was like the final 2 weeks of development where like everything came together, like lighting, textures, final character rigs and animations and movement tweaks and platforming changes. And so,
Yeah, it was definitely a huge team effort. I'm really proud of like all the work we did individually as artists, programmers, writers, but it all came together to be something greater than the sum of its parts.
Rad. Well, I'm sure Leo and I would love to sit here and talk to you about it, like for ages and ages
Yes.
and ages.
Shower you in praise.
Yeah.
But I'm back here. Thanks, everybody. We're just going to take a brief break as we switch out the devs of Buried Voices for our next set of devs. We're going to get better at this as the night goes on. Thanks, everybody, for being the first and putting up with our technical naivete, say. We haven't had any difficulties. It looks great, right? Woo!
It's great. It does. Everything's working fine.
Okay. So I'm going to transition now into cool videos. And